Hello everyone, welcome back to Global Government News. This is the fourth part of this video series, this news bulletin for July 29th, 2010. And we're moving on now to some sort of big brother type stuff. We just got done with vaccines in the second video. In the last video we covered the WikiLeaks scandal, and then the Arizona law and the national ID. But let's get into this. It says the first article is Plaintiffs, New York City settlement of 50 shot cases fair. And I'm not sure if any of you remember this story, but it was from a couple of years ago. It was a pretty bad and sad story. It says the fiance of an unarmed man killed by police in a 50-bullet barrage, and a friend who survived the shooting said Wednesday that a settlement of the federal civil lawsuit with New York City that topped $7 million was fair but not cause for celebration. Quote, nobody wins in this case. Mr. Guzman, who was shot 17 times and still wears a leg brace, says at a news conference a day after the settlement was announced. A deal in a case that ignited community outrage and raised questions about police firepower awards $3.25 million to the estate of Sean Bell, $3 million to Guzman, and $900,000 to the third victim, Trent Benefield, minus 30% legal fees. Fiance called the settlement, quote, reasonable, but she added the girls will, quote, never have their father. Said Bell, 23, died in a hail of 50 bullets. I keep saying 50 bullets, but just in a hail of bullets. I think a hail of bullets is pretty self-descriptive, right? On November 25th, 2006, so that was 4 years ago, around the corner from a Queens topless bar where he had just had a bachelor party and where undercover police were investigating complaints of prostitution. So, do you guys remember the story within the past 6 months where the honor student was bludgeoned to death by undercover police in Pittsburgh? Well, if you don't, then just look that up. Honor student gets beat in YouTube, and you'll probably find one of my videos. I covered it, and it was just another horrific story. Where, again, undercover SWAT team, tactical police are just starting shit and go on the offensive. And what happened? I think that guy got promoted. If nothing happened to him with the person in Pittsburgh, or the people in Pittsburgh who just tore dreadlocks out of this poor kid's face and beat him until he looks almost unrecognizable. And they said that he did nothing wrong and they did a good job. That's what the police commissioner said in Pittsburgh. So these people, I hate to say it, but you're lucky you even got money for it. You're lucky you even got compensated for this, because, most people, they just get, unless it's a big case like this where you get attention and community outrage, you're kind of screwed. This next article is called the FBI Director Defends Bureau Over Test Cheating. This is from July 28th, 2010, and it's coming from the AP. It says, FBI Director Robert Mueller told Congress on Wednesday that he does not know how many of his agents cheated on an important exam on the Bureau's policies, discussing an embarrassing investigation that raises questions about whether the FBI knows its rules for conducting surveillance on Americans. The Justice Department Inspector General is investigating whether hundreds of agents cheated on the test. Some took the open book test together, violating rules that they could take it alone. Others finished a lengthy exam unusually quickly, current and former officials said. This is interesting because I'm going to get to another article that actually ties into this. I had no clue when I was compiling these today. The test was supposed to ensure that FBI agents understand new rules allowing them to conduct surveillance and open files on Americans without evidence of criminal wrongdoing. Don't you love that, guys? If agents can't pass that test without cheating, civil liberties groups ask, how can they follow them? Well, they're not going to! Of course they're not going to! Fucking seize Heil! Oh, man. Civil liberties and privacy advocates. Yeah, I advocate freedom. Oh, it's ridiculous, man. This country and our society is, I I don't want to be too pessimistic and say we're gone, we're cooked. But I think it's a lot worse than what people that are unaware of this and think everything is it's bad, but it could be worse. Those type people, it could be a lot worse. But man, dude, it's like fuck. If people like that say that, and if you have nothing to hide, if you're not doing anything wrong and you have nothing to hide, then what's the matter with being searched and what's wrong with being surveilled and all that, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to worry about. It's like, dude, you are the dickholes, sorry, the dickheads or whatever, the douchebags that allow this stuff to continue and progressively get worse. Because you take it, you say, it's one thing to just say, well, I'm not really sure, or I'm not against it, but it's another thing to say, oh yeah, let's do it, we need it. But that's the rationale of the sheeple. White House proposal would ease FBI access to records of internet activity. The Washington Post, July 29th, 2010. So these guys are cheating on tests to surveil Americans. The Obama administration is seeking to make it easier for the FBI to compel companies to turn over records of individuals' internet activity without a court order if agents deem the information relevant to a terrorism or intelligence investigation. Let me read this again. The test was supposed to ensure that FBI agents understand new rules allowing them to conduct surveillance and open files on Americans without evidence of criminal wrongdoing. So my question is, are they already doing it? I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm just going to assume that they are, because they're doing it in Britain. I just posted an article yesterday where they've had a record number of orders written by the police and the government, the UK, the British government, for wiretapping and surveilling emails and internet activity. So they're called requests. They've had a record number of requests by the British government to the telecommunications companies. See, you love this fascist style system, guys? It's real free. Gives you the illusion of freedom because it's not totally Sovietized communist style where it's all government. No, it's corporations that own the government. They own the politicians. And so they use their corporate branding to disguise the fact that the governments really are the corporations. The administration wants to add just 4 words, quote, electronic communication transactional records, to a list of items that the law says FBI may demand without a judge's approval. Government lawyers says this category of information includes the addresses to which an internet user sends email, the times and dates email was sent and received, and possibly a user's browser history. Dude, they already do that. Give me a freaking break. I covered this when I did the Cutting Edge Radio show with Delta. I did just days worth of research and showing and proving that Google is already compiling data searches, and they're handing them over to the government. So this is already happening. It's not something that's coming. It's already happening, dude. Since 2001, we have been surveilled big time, and before that, it's just now it's legal. And if you don't believe me as far as the UK thing goes, this is right here. UK's government's phone and internet snooping hits record high. July 28th, 2010. The expansion, official snooping on communications. See that expansion? That means that they were doing more of it. That means that they were already doing it. I'm not talking like this to my usual listeners or viewers. This is for newcomers who may not be aware that all this stuff is going on. It says reboot key Brit ready to save internet. Yes, this is the whole thing with we're going to shut down the internet in order to save it from terrorists. Where the governments have control over private internet now. So, and Britain has the key. Brit charged with holding one of the 7 digital keys necessary to reestablish a system of trust in a highly unlikely event of a collapse of the DNS security extensions, has spoken on the practicalities of his responsibility. I like how they say this here. This disaster recovery would be for a fundamental catastrophic failure. In other words, a false flag. And 100 million Facebook users, details shared. So don't forget to check this out. I'll post the link. Thank you.